What's up, everyone? This is day 5 of me reading the books. I've been skipping for a couple days, so I'm gonna be started reading this book again, okay? It's been chapter 5. Yeah, chapter 5. Let's go. Chapter 5. Thea felt much the same about people visiting her house as she did about splinters. She wanted them out. Her house was tiny for a start. These stairs were in the living room, and the living room was nearly in the kitchen. Minute. Okay. With the dining room as merely a cramped corner, she liked it like that. It was her small, safe space where she could crawl and hide after an exhausting day spent trying to seem human. Two people in it seemed too much, so Harriet Stowe sat at Thea's dining table and glancing at an open folder in front of her. I hope you understand the slightly clandestine road we have had to take. Our competitors are ruthless, and we not let any significant information out into the public domain, certainly not until we have launched it. Had put her voluminous purple-lined coat on a newel post of the stairs. Thea's fingers Thea's fingers itched to move it to the old coat hook where coats were expected to be. She had no other choice but to be strict about the house. It had to have the right lighting and temperature. It had to have candles and a scent diffuser, constantly puffing out clouds of lavender mist. It had to be quiet and clean and peaceful because that's what every article about sleep had impressed upon her. You had to create the right environment for it to come, blinking into sight like a shy, rare animal. I always find, in circumstances such as this, it's best to have to be led by the client. Harriet continued, pushing her cat's eyes reading glasses down her nose so she could peer at her paperwork. Please feel free to ask me any question about the trial that may be on your mind. Moving into her kitchen, which was the size of a postage stamp, Thea attempted to remember how much instant coffee a normal person put in the mug. Two tablespoons of it was definitely too much. There, Harriet stapled her fingers together and rested her little pointed chin on them. Thea came out of the kitchen carrying the coffees, which were definitely not the right color. Her mind ratherly unhelpfully went as blank as badly loaded web page. My mother thinks you are a cop. Harriet raised a carefully shaded eyebrow. Thea put the coffees down. That wasn't my question. What risks are there? Harriet considered her coffee with a distinct air of trepidation. Good question. Thea suspected that was what she always said, regardless of the actual first question offered. Harriet's stiletto heel sank into the carpet, jabbing deep holes into the pile. She had already felt a trail of little woodworm pokes from the front door to the chair. Shall I tell you a bit more about the process first, so you understand? Yes. Thea nodded, and Harriet's hand hovered near the cup. She was in her 40s, older than Thea, who was 27, and dressed in a kind of well-made pencil skirt and blouse that could not be picked up in the supermarket as part of a weekly shop. This 6-week trial is made up of 3 phases, and each phase lasts 2 weeks. Phase 1 is orientation, where we get to know you. Phase 2 is where we start with the tech, fine-tuning it as appropriate, with sleep as our goal. Phase 3 is when we use the tech help you become the best that you can be. Best, Thea would gladly have settled for merely better, even a bit. Harriet's delivery was smooth and expressive, and Thea got the distinct impression that this was a script she had gone through many times before. She still hadn't picked up the mug. The tech itself comprises 2 parts. the parts you downloaded onto your phone as an app, and the incredibly small discs that fix completely harmlessly and without pain to your temples. They work in tandem using a variety of technologies, some well known, some new, to help you drift into the best sleep of your life. A diffuser puffed wheezily. I'm assuming you have exhausted all other possible options. Therapy, medication. Harriet picked up as a pen as slick, shiny as a bullet. Yes, that's it. It wasn't a complete lie. She had at least attended the therapy sessions a few times, and she tried medication, which, despite her misgivings, had worked. During the day, the office hadn't been keen on her napping her working hours. Yo, this video just stopped, bro. I'm just gonna continue. Oh, where is it? And how do you think a lack of sleep is affecting you, relationships, and so on? Would you say you've got to a critical point? Harriet's eyes ranged around the room, taking in the distinct lack of an happy couple or girl squad photos amongst the candles. They are rubbed at her eyes. It would have been a relief every so often if she could have just taken out her eyeballs and dunked them in cold water. The gunk and grit of sleeplessness would float off down the plug hole, and she could then pop the eyeballs back in, totally refreshed. Critical point. Thea went over and hung up Harry's coat. Yeah, I think it's been reached. People as twisted and shattered as the lump of metal and glass. Harriet paused in the writing. I'm sorry to hear that, she said as I considered her over the top of her glasses. It sounded genuine. All of a sudden, Thea's eyes began to sting. Harriet pushed her glasses up a little and considered the papers in front of her. Instinctively, she reached out once more for the coffee mug. Look in it, paused, and set it back down again. Harriet picked up a framed photo. But your mother, Vivian Mackenzie, you spent a lot of time with her. Did Harriet mean too much time? Thea couldn't tell. So some, not much. I have friends. She was getting good at lying. And your mother's activism? She funded, let me see, the Menopausal Army? No? Harriet couldn't stop the flicker of the smile at the name. At Ing Enterprises, we are not so sure this would be such a good fit for us. Thea's coffee sloshed over the side of the mug as she put it down slowly. Put it down too heavily. Not a good fit. What did that mean? Would she be blacklisted from the trial because of her mother had morals and an insane need to march every single weekend, no matter what the weather was like? Oh, that? She retired now. Completely. The lie came out so easily, but it wasn't completely untrue. Her mother had stopped doing the on-camera stuff and organizing campaigns. She'd definitely taken a step back, just not quite as far back as Thea would have Harriet believe. Harriet jotted down notes. Thea fiddled with a loose thread on her jumper, wanting the woman gone, and the skin of her safe little house to close back over after the splinter had been twisted out. Safe little house. Thea realized with a cold, sick feeling in her stomach that in about 4 months' time, if she gave up her job and her savings ran out, she would no longer be able to afford this little safe house. The flapping, unhinged part of her mind creaked. Anyhow, we are getting a little ahead of ourselves. Harriet smiled. It's not yet guaranteed that you are the type of candidate we are looking for. May we now move on to the second part of this little chat. It was much like that delicate dentistry Harriet magnified and examined, jabbing and poking, blowing air on corners of Thea's mind that Thea hadn't really known existed, maneuvering around any white-hot patches where a nerve throbbed. Questions and topics ranged from her childhood to what perfume she wore, the future of robotics to what type of tea she drank. Thea didn't know what the correct answer was, so she no clue as to whether she was doing well or not. She liked to do well. After about half an hour, Harriet sighed happily and stretched her shoulders. Well, it's been lovely meeting you. Well, we'll be in touch to let you know if you have been selected for preliminary testing. Once again, she grasped and handle of her mug, a natural move to finish the drink before she left. Before she could stop herself, she had taken a large gulp, and that was when Thea knew. Wait a minute. Thea knew. Then. Where is it? Why it's been lovely meeting you with the once again she grasped the handle of her mug and natural move to finish the drink before she left. Before she could stop herself, she had taken a last gulp, and that was when Thea knew that Harry's foundation was worth the money. It hit the shade of puce she must have turned when she finally tasted the coffee. Only later, when she was vacuuming the stiletto pucks from the carpet, did Thea realize that she never told anyone from the Ing Enterprises about the menopausal army or even her mother's name. Yep, so there's chapter 5 for today. I'll see you in the next video next day.